What's up, everyone? Today on the podcast, we sit down with New York-based EDM artist recLOOS. Steve and I have been friends for many years, and he is versed in all sorts of musical genres. Right now, EDM is his focus, and he's a really talented cat. And he's someone I like to go to for advice or just for inspiration on what to do or how to do something or where to start. He's always been someone that inspired me to be more creative, and I'm just really happy I got to sit with him. So we get really in depth into his creative process, how he overcomes his bad habits. We talk about what it takes to create his music and where he draws his inspirations from. We also talk about some of the roadblocks he hits with things like imposter syndrome and not thinking you're good enough and when to release something. We listen to some of his latest tracks. You'll hear an exclusive one on this podcast. And we also get into his history and what brought him to EDM music. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us what you think in the comments below. He's a great talent. We had a fun conversation and I hope you enjoy it. What's up, bud?
Living the dream every day. Wait, I woke up.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. So let's just recap, man. I haven't seen you in how long? My wedding, maybe?
Yeah, a long time. You were with child.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been at least a little while. We still talk about your wedding, me and Em.
Really?
Yeah, we had a good time. That was enjoyable.
It was a fun one, man.
Yeah.
It was definitely a fun one. Like I tried to make it when we were designing the whole thing because I've been to 40 weddings at this point. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, they start to pile up.
Exactly. And then they start to all be the same. And like, I want to be like, all right, this is going to be a smaller venue, but it's going to be like thought out. Like the hotel was in the same parking lot as the venue.
Yeah.
The next morning, Denny's was right next to the hotel. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I want to set everyone up so they don't got to worry about shit later, you know?
Exactly.
So I thought it was pretty cool. The food was good.
Yeah, good cast. That's mainly the stories from that are,
Yeah.
FTC. Bring it back.
Yeah. We had a whole crew there.
Yeah, that's good.
That's funny. I actually just went and visited John the other day. I saw him out. I went to Five Towns.
Oh yeah. So it's different, right? When was
It's
the last
very
time you were there
different.
before that.
Oh, fuck. I don't know, dude. Like years.
Right?
Years.
Yeah,
Definitely years.
I was there pretty recently too.
Yeah.
I was a little taken aback. It's like changed. It shouldn't matter to you because you don't go to school there anymore. But like things changing, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
Like the whole the SA room is gone, right?
Yep.
It's like a closet now, basically. And then they had like I think it was a radio setup or maybe even like a podcasting kind of studio that they have now, where the old office was, and then they stuck the audio office down by the library.
Yeah, he's in a room with a bunch of people that are not audio people. He doesn't like it very much. He made sure he mentioned that a couple of times. But been plugging away, and I see you've got a whole thing. It's very nice.
Yeah, I'm trying.
It's good to be doing things, staying occupied, idle hands.
Well, when you have a baby and you can't really go out and do anything anymore, you have to bring things to you.
Yes.
Right. So I was like, all right, I have this space. What am I gonna do? Well, I know a ton of artists. Like majority of my friends are people that are creatives that do something, right? Whether it be music or art or whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, I got a pretty good cast of characters I could probably bring in here and talk to.
You definitely do. At least, as if anything else, at least entertainment value. You have like that down pat.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, been doing a lot of music lately. Not so much the last month or so, but I was in a real hard push about 6 months ago to get stuff finalized and mastered out. Have about 9 songs that I'm like waiting for copyrights to come back. Have you ever sent anything out for copyright?
Yes, we did everything through a company though, through CD Baby.
Right.
So they just handled everything.
Okay.
And they didn't take anything. Like it was
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So what they did was they signed. We through them you go through ASCAP and you get you have an ASCAP membership and all that shit. And then they'll take care of all the distribution. They take care of all your digital media. So they broadcast everything out onto iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, all those things. Actually, I don't think they do Pandora, but and then they do digital CD distribution if you want to pay for it for other countries. So like the My Kingdom stuff, like I get checks from like Japan.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is crazy. Yeah, like every now and then I'll get like a check for like $80, $100, and I'm like, what is this? Like, oh yeah, those are your 79-cent downloads that are sold in Japan. I'm like, That's a lot.
Yeah, you forget how many billions of people are on this planet
Yeah.
that like potentially could listen to your music if you just put it in their hands.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. They just need to see it.
Yeah,
They just need to see where it's coming from.
That's a problem. Yeah, I set up ASCAP a little while ago, and I sent the songs. I saw a couple of services, and I was like, oh, I can just send this to the government myself, which at this point I'm thinking might be a mistake because it's been out for like 55 days or something like that. And I followed up with them. They're like, yeah, you mailed in, because I did it all as one work. I didn't want to pay for each song individually to be copyrighted, so I did it as a collective work. So the disc was too long to upload on the website, so I ended up having to mail it in. And because it's mailed through their facility, it's a whole... It's got to be screened. They got to check it for anthrax. You know what I mean? Like, it's a government mailing operation, so it's pretty legit. So yeah, I'm waiting to hear back on that. I'm thinking I'm just going to release it anyway at this point. I mean, if the copyright's not going to come through, I don't know if I'm going to wait another 80 days. It's been sitting on the shelf, and I'm excited.
And at this point too, when it comes to copyright laws, it's kind of, they exist because there was no way to prove anything.
Right.
But now, like, I can go on your SoundCloud, I can look exactly at what date you posted your song, and if someone else used it, it's like, well, there's my copyright.
Yeah, it's been up since this date. I think about that all the time.
You know what I mean?
I think about like the courtroom discussion of just like, do you want to see the multi-track of this session that I spent like 4 years putting together? Like, I'll gladly produce it. So yeah, it's, you know what I think it is? I think it's another lame attempt at self-resistance, which is one of my favorite topics lately. Is just resistance. I keep reading The War of Art. You familiar with that book? Mm-hmm. Yeah, some key stuff in there, like
Stephen Pressfield.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's basically a just whole connotation on
stop procrastinating.
Yeah, no, I'm really good at it too. Is the problem? I can continually come up with excuses why something's not good enough to go out. I can get it in the car and compare it and say, oh, well, this record sounds this certain way. But when it comes down to it, every record sounds different. And you should just get your stuff out there.
That's a lesson that so many people don't learn, man.
Yeah.
Just do it, and once it's done, put it out there, and then move on.
Yep.
Nothing you can do about it. Boom, it's out.
Yeah, and it forces you to move on, because
Yeah.
if you don't release it, you're just going to sit on it and mix it over and over and over again, especially if you're a producer who's also an engineer. Like, I came from an engineering background and then got into production, so right away I was making a mistake of trying to mix the record the whole time I was making it. So
Yeah.
once you get out of that mindset, now you got to mix it with finality and just move on and just
100%.
otherwise you'll work on it forever.
Yeah. You probably I fall into a very similar trap where I'm more worried about like the method and science behind what I'm doing rather than the actual what I'm doing. A lot of the time.
You stop listening to stuff and you start thinking about how you're doing it.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like, the sustain on that could probably come down a little bit, and the leveling's a little off, and I'm not liking where the drums are sitting in the mix as far as their pans and stuff like that when I redo that. And meanwhile, I'm not even listening to the song.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not listening to like, what is the song talking about? It could be a song about nothing. I don't even know, because I'm worried about what the kick drum sounds like.
Right. Yeah. You have to really separate the two parts of the art, because it's so difficult not to do one. It's so difficult to just sit and go like, yeah, that sounds like crap right now. I'll circle back to it, because I'm just going to waste time on it. You don't even have I like to equate music to painting a lot, because there's a lot of like analogies that really relate between each other. Like, if you think about it, you put your big bold colors down on the palette first, right? That's the point. Is where is this picture happening? What objects are in it? You're not drawing the eyebrow on the guy before you finish drawing the rest of his body. You know what I mean? You do things in big brush strokes, and then you get more minute and more detailed. And it's good to think that way with music, because you don't. It's so easy nowadays to just sit there and open a million plugins, and you get a million ideas, and none of them flow into each other. It gets easy to lose like your focus on like the goal, or even have one most of the time when you come in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a couple of guys who've told me like, always think about painting. Think about color and contrast. You can't all have red. Can't all have one color in there. You gotta have different colors, and that's your frequencies. And it's helped. It's helped with the music a lot to like be cognizant of it while you're doing it, as opposed to like just stream of consciousness. Like when you're writing a report when you're in school when you're a kid, you just word, step back and like analyze it. But
yeah, especially when you want to put out there that's something that's reflecting you, it's reflecting your taste, reflecting your musical taste. But when you're sitting there analyzing every technical aspect of it, when really it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because all anyone's going to hear is just whatever you put out. So just because you weren't happy with a certain I don't know, ratio or whatever, a compression ratio or something like that, you felt that was a little off, the average listener is not going to know that. They're just going to hear the song.
And that's who you're trying to get out to. Even if you're not interested in selling your music, you really just want to get it out there and distribute it, and have that be a vehicle to play out. Because like me, I really could care less about making money with the music. I just really would love to play it and have people enjoy it, and the people that do enjoy it congregate. It's like a cool thing, to find people that are on exactly the same wavelength. Like you made something and they like it. That's priceless to me. But it's difficult to like stay completely focused and harnessed in on what is you and what you're doing. You get so caught up in the practice, the things you're supposed to be doing, right? But you're catering to a general audience. You're not catering to engineers. If you think you're mixing for engineers, you're making a huge mistake. Because this is why I feel like this. I go to shows and I watch people and I'm like, I
do it all the time.
I see and hear things, and I'm like, and then immediately I'm like, oh, that guy is going to be at my show listening to my music, and he's going to hear stuff, and he's going to go, and I'm going to know exactly what that stuff is, because when I hear it, I make the same face. But that's not who you're playing to. There's a whole population out there that really just appreciates your different creativity, let alone how well it's mixed or your production techniques or any of that stuff. So, yeah, it's a lesson that's taken like, what am I at? Almost 34 now, years and years to learn, but finally getting there, and the music shows when you're thinking about it the right way. What you produce comes out better, effortlessly.
Yeah, for sure. Like I produced basically everything that band ever did, except for the last 3 songs we did, and they were the best because I just kind of let my hands go, and I went to another person. We went to Andrew Wade.
Yep,
it was phenomenal. But we were just like, we know you know what you're doing. I'm just going to focus on the music. Right, I'm just gonna focus on what is the message we're trying to get across here, what kind of sound we want, and once I focused on that more, that whole scenario just went so much smoother.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, for me, like mentally.
Yeah, of course. You don't realize when you're doing dual duty, you don't realize it's supposed to take twice as long. So you put this unrealistic expectation on yourself, like, oh, I'll just record these guitar tracks and then I'll mix them in tonight, and then tomorrow they can do vocals, and it's like it becomes this. Like you want to stay on the same track you'd be on if somewhere else were doing, either the extra role, right?
Yeah.
So that's a frustration I have to get past, because I most of the music I make it based on what I'm hearing at a given time and like how I translate it. So I got to a point where I felt like I was just doing mixes and they were sitting because I wasn't finishing them quick enough, and then it's like they don't go stale, but you know what I mean, like they feel stale after a while. So
yeah, to you though.
Yeah, it's just to you because no one's heard them yet.
Right.
But like that, you can't. That's another mental, molehill you have to climb yourself over.
Yeah. When you show someone something that you did 2 years ago and they're like, "That sounds sick," and that's awesome, be like, "I hate that. I'm so over that."
This
already.
song is garbage. Can you not hear hot garbage coming out of my speakers right now? Yeah, I know the feeling very well.
So when did you start making the switch from because obviously you and I, we were like hardcore bands. We would probably played together a couple of times.
Yep.
So when did you make that switch to like in the box electronic, like I just want to make crazy noise and make
it didn't happen instantly. It was just like this continued fascination with this thing that was not the guitar. First of all, was what was cool to me. Right. I was looking to expand out like my music, because you play the guitar, that's cool, but you are always a guitar player in a band, and you can do vocals, but unless you're going to spend time doing vocals, you're never going to be a main vocalist. So it started when I got into the Senate. The Senate was a thing for a long time. We basically lived in a recording studio. I mean, it was like me and 2 other guys in a basement apartment, not with jobs, going to the studio every day. So eventually you just kind of look for things to like contrast. You don't always want to be working on your music. You've been pounding it into your head, because then it doesn't come out good anymore, right? You're too close to what you're working on. So I would just do these little projects. I would just jump on the computer. Hey, we had Cubase at the studio, and I would pop open Massive. It was the first time I got, familiarized with that, VST. And I would always done electronic stuff from like when we were in school together, MIDI class I thought was cool, but it was all just like novelty at that point. That was the first time I was really hearing music. I was going out to a lot of clubs and doing a lot of stuff in like Brooklyn underground stuff. And you hear this really cool music with this interesting, very different sound design from anything you'd hear on the radio relate to electronic. And it just always stuck with me. So it was a lot of weekends, after coming back before the band would get there for like that afternoon's recording session, just tinkering around on the computer. And then just song after song after song happened, and they all sucked. They all definitely suck at first. But Yeah, I just got more and more fascinated with it. It probably took like 2 or 3 years of just those little songs on the side, and then I was starting to pick up steam, and somebody was like, maybe you should do this too. Like, it doesn't hurt to have plan A, plan B. So I bought a setup, bought a Mac Mini, bought Ableton, got a few plugins, and just got myself enough to get going, and that was it. From that point forward, I mean, I've been doing, that's probably 7 years. I've been doing it super seriously and really, watching tutorials, and I've gotten more familiar with some electronic artists that I feel speak to me. So yeah, it was a transition, but I still love the heavy music. It still has a lot of influence in what I make now. It's why I got into the electronic. I heard dubstep. I was like, so we're doing breakdowns with electronics,
just drops, bass drops.
Just we're not even bothering with the rest of the song. We're just gonna do an anxious build up and then bass drops.
Right.
Okay, I think I can at least enjoy this for however long. But then that genre, as genres tend to do, really developed into some cool stuff. So there's some sweet artists right now that are doing very experimental, very different things, and that's kind of what I want to do. There was years of trying to emulate, and now I'm trying to create. Now I want to do kind of my own thing. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely, because I've been listening to the stuff you have on SoundCloud, and I hear certain grooves that I'm like, that comes from that hardcore metalcore root, where it's like, okay, I know exactly what's about to happen.
Yep.
Because I could feel that anticipation, like you were saying.
Yep.
That build up, and I know where the drop's gonna be, and I know, but you fit a lot of real instruments along with the sounds. There's a lot of real bass, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I have a few songs that actually Dave Holder, who used to play in the Senate, he put some bass down. We used to like to play around with guitars a lot. There's a lot of, I use a lot of Contact. There's a lot of instruments in Contact that you can fiddle with and sample. But yeah, I came from a rock background, so my songwriting is a little more rock oriented. It's it's not as build drop as a lot of the dance music. So
yeah, it has more of a destination to it. Like you're setting up something instead of here's gonna be a drop, boom, and then 30 seconds later here's gonna be another drop, boom.
Yeah.
It's more of all right, we're gonna go on a ride. You're gonna hear some crazy shit, but then it's gonna settle. Then it's gonna come in again. Like you can even see it in your waveforms how it just dips, ebbs and flows and stuff like that. I feel like that comes from a lot of music that we used to
definitely,
play.
Yeah, 100%. I like the journey. That's, to me, that's musically. I'm into artists like Feed Me. He's been around for a long time. He's a Mousetrap guy, but his stuff is more structured out like that. You get more of a song than just a drop, because that's essentially a lot of music today. They're just setting up a drop. They're just setting you up to dance, which is cool. 100% has its place. I listen to a ton of that music and love it. I actually think a lot of it's better than mine. I get yelled at all the time because I'm comparison will kill your creativity, so you can't be doing that. But yeah, it's I like the roller coaster ride. I like to bring you in slow and set up the environment, and then so just constantly trying to learn and get better at.
It's almost like folk dubstep. It's like it's telling a story, whereas instead of just this is what you can dance to, and then we're gonna drop this beat, and this is what you can dance to, and now you can dance back to this and this and this. And it's just like no matter where you go, if you were to pick 30 seconds in, 40 seconds in, it's the exact same song. Exactly what song that is. And it doesn't matter where you drop in. That the beat's coming in a couple of seconds, and you're gonna be able to dance to whatever. Whereas there's some stuff that pops up, and it might only pop up once. I feel like some of the stuff that you've done, and I'm like, okay, that was cool. That was a little surprise, Like a lot of the voice work and stuff like that. I was listening to, I wrote it down. Yeah, the Breaking This World one.
Okay.
And Breaking This World and Transfer, the one with Russ.
Oh, yep.
Those are my two favorites.
Yeah, Transfer is still, to this day, I've made a lot of songs since Transfer. It sticks at me for some reason. It's
a good tune, man.
It's cool. I enjoy that one.
It's fun.
And Breaking This World is actually, I took Red Hot Chili Peppers vocals and kind of messed around with them. Put the samplers. Samplers are sweet. So that's where that's Breaking the Girl, Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's where that vocal came from. But yeah, I just like grabbing elements from what I came up on. I acclimate to certain sounds because I hear them. I'm like, that reminds me of a Norma Jean record that I heard, forever ago, and that's essentially it.
That's awesome. So what's new? What's not? Just so I can keep up.
So everything that is up there has been up there for a year. That collab I did with Cranko. That's a little more recent, I guess. That's
this guy right here, right?
2 years ago. I'm not really sure. It's possible, but yeah, I've had Here It Comes At You. Yeah, this one does pretty well. He's a guy that I played guitar with in the Senate for a long time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's a good songwriter. It's a good energy when me and him get together because we've, creating with someone is like being their brother.
Right.
There's arguments and all that. So
Oh, I know all about that.
it's good to have familiarity with somebody.
Let's play a little bit of it. See if my audio chops are up to date, because I was like, I wonder if this will work if I set this up correctly.
It sounds like it's in stereo. That's a good first step.
It's definitely in stereo. It's on 2 different channels. See, this is that anticipation build-up.
Yeah, you know something's coming.
Quarter note, 8th note, 16th note. Yeah, so this kind of plays right into what I was talking about with you before we kind of jumped on, which with sound design and identity. So a lot of those sounds are stuff presets that you find that you tweak a little bit, but now he and I both again I work with him pretty closely. We're trying to take things to like another level where your identity is already, before you even make the song, your identity is established because you have like a sound design and an avenue that you've developed that if you sit for long enough, you're going to make enough sounds that nobody else has made before. Of course. Like, it's just going to happen. Yeah. So that's kind of like the goal going forward. But yeah, typical dance music, man. Build up, build up, build up. Cut it all out right before that drop. Get that dynamic hit. That's one of my favorite little techniques, little tricks there. Yeah, I noticed you guys you love the reverse sound.
Oh yeah, the swoop in. I love it on my important snares. I like it, transitioning. But that's all stuff that I hear too. Like when I finish up a record, I'm like, you really like doing that, don't you? And then I want to add variation. It's you always listening back and critiquing yourself and trying to make stuff better. Yeah,
because I hear it a lot, and it's just one of those things that I was always looking for. Where could we put a reverse cymbal crash here? Coming in like like some type of explosions and shit like that. The last record we did was like all over the place. Yeah, it was everywhere.
Yeah, it's peppered in there. Yeah. Yeah, I was just listening to Acacia Strain on the way over here, and the bass drops in Acacia Strain. I was like, I forgot about these, but damn, these are good. I miss heavy music with electronic elements. Dillinger really got on that towards the end there. They were integrating a lot of stuff that was, quick electronic break beats and all that.
Once everyone figured out how to do that, just 60 hertz, pitch it down, boom, there you go. There's your bass drop.
Yep. Now there's a whole genre that's just bass drop after bass drop. It's called trap. And people love it, People feel bass. It speaks differently.
So have you? I saw your Instagram. You did a live show with with the background graphics and stuff like that. That was pretty sweet.
Yes, that's Dub Day. That's a weekly thing that's put on by a few friends of mine. I'll send you over some ats so you can plug them if you want.
But sure, for sure.
They put on a weekly thing. It's up and coming artists, all varying degrees of like experience and talent, and they're just trying to make it happen. It's at a pretty cool space called Hollow. At least it was that week. They tend to move around every once in a while, but it's out in Brooklyn. Great sound system, QSC K-series speakers in there, subs and everything. So it's cool to get your stuff like out and play it in a nice venue with nice speakers without like being in front of 200 people first time you're about to put it out. So yeah, it was like a small intimate thing. Had a guy there doing the visualizers, for everybody that came up. So it's cool. It makes it feel like a real go at it instead of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you see where that can go, right? With the bigger names and stuff like that, where they're playing to hundreds of thousands of people and all the events. And, what was the most recent one? I just saw Steven, what's his name?
Aoki,
is that how you say it? Yep. I'm not familiar with the genre, but I was watching videos on him, and just the massive show he has now. It's like so much more than the music. It's everything.
Yeah, you get to just build on it, and then when you have money, you can start working with teams. It's cool. So it's like a microcosm of that because you got a couple of close knit guys, and you can kind of work on them with stuff. It gives you the network avenue to like reach out to that visualizer and be like, hey, how do you come up with this content? Because I have no idea. I haven't any idea. I know it's important. Because every show I go to, there's sweet visualization, and it makes the music that much better when it's synced up. It like really hits you differently. but I don't know how to do it, and I know how long it took me to get at least halfway decent in my own mind at doing this. So I'm not starting a whole other.
Right. It's like a whole genre of art.
It's like, I'm going to start painting now. Everyone's going to just deal with me waiting until as I learn to paint. So it's cool to be around people that do that and be able to like reach out, and because some of the shows now are sweet. They're awesome, and everyone's always pushing that envelope. No one's doing the same thing twice, and if they are, they're fading into the distance.
Yeah, especially in this element too. There's so many different avenues you can go with the sound you create. It's endless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hence my draw to it. And it's also it's a double-edged sword, because you can do so much that sometimes you just end up doing things any direction. You're just playing for hours and hours.
Yeah,
but
that's that's part of the art though. That's fun.
You're supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah,
I hear. I hear it's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So what else have you been up to?
Just the work, AV work. Rich people want things that show them things on screens, and I make the screens go on walls and turn on and off, and just I feel like I'm stalling until I can make money with my music. I feel like it's coming. I feel like it's a retirement plan at this point. When I was young, it used to be like, this is what I'm going to do my whole life, and now it's like, hopefully you can get good enough at this. I want to try to get into like scoring. Like doing movies, or I'll start with like small films, or like TV shows or something like that. But that stuff's really interesting to me, especially you look at some of the sessions that those guys have, and they're
just massive. A buddy of mine, he's actually coming over tomorrow to do a podcast, but his brother does like John Williams level scoring for movies, and stuff, which is just such a massive scale with the amount of like instruments and the amount of length. Like, think about it. Like, we write 3-minute songs.
Yep.
He's writing a 3.5 hour movie sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's like and he has to be like, all right, someone's in a kitchen here thinking about something. All right, make noise, make music, and
you have to be completely. So, what are kitchen sounds? What would one hear in a kitchen?
Yeah.
You gotta make them, not only gonna make them sound good, but then you gotta mix them so that they actually sound like they're in the space, and it's not just remember our sound stories from school? They were decent, but they're definitely not Hollywood quality.
No, not at all.
I think it's really cool. I think and you get to have so much fun doing it, like recreating Foley for scenes and stuff like that. That's pretty cool to me.
Yeah, that's an avenue I've always wanted to go, and actually just did. I was just doing boom operating for a Netflix pilot. So these guys are doing an independent thing. They have a connection at Netflix, and they're doing 22-minute episodes, and they're making like a series. They have like a 10-episode series. And a buddy of mine called me. He's like, I'm filming it. It's like, my sound guy bailed on me. He's like, could you do it? I was like, I haven't done this since student films in high school. But yeah, sure, I could do it.
Yeah.
We went to Zoom, right around the corner. And we got the Zoom recorders and stuff like that. And I was just booming. And right away, I was like, I remember all this.
Yeah.
I remember exactly how to do all this stuff. And I was just getting into it, getting really good sound. It was awesome. It was a great experience. And I was like, man, I miss this.
Yeah,
it's
cool. And
like
you forget how able you take for granted the tiny like base level information that you learned so long ago that you don't even consider it important, but like just aiming a mic correctly and constantly monitoring the feed and making sure that they're in the sweet spot of the polar pattern. They're things that people don't even know. You know what I mean? So it's cool. It's cool to like diversify your portfolio when it comes to how you engage with audio. I've been trying to do that a lot. I just bought a Zoom field recorder because I just want to start capturing things. There's so many times in a day I walk by something, I'm like, that sounds like an intro to a song. I need to go grab that, or I could sample that, and that's got tone to it. There's a nice ring in there. I could make that into an instrument. So, audio, geeking out.
It's true, man. It's so like recently I went into this corporate world, which it's like a black hole, right? It just sucked me in. So I got to a point where it was me, the director, my boss, and then the vice president of basically like for America, for that area. So I was national.
Right.
So what I was doing was I was training. I was just doing national training, and I was running the team through them. So everything, like all the creative like juices in my body were just dormant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
it was awful.
And it happens quickly. It sneaks up on you.
Yeah, and like you get to a level, it's like, oh, I'm getting paid decent money, but I'm flying all over the country. I'm not happy. I'm not doing anything that's like making my brain work. I'm just basically doing the same shit over and over again, saying the same things over and over again. Like I'm not. So now I want to do this where I can actually spark those juices up a little bit, you know?
Yeah, you got to at least feed it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a really resilient houseplant, your creativity. Like, just give it a little bit of water every once in a while, and you'd be amazed. It'll stay alive. Because, I'm going through the same thing. You know, I really want to get going, tearing ass on the new album, and there's just no time. And when there is time, I'm exhausted. And it is, when you're doing soulless work, it tends to take more of a toll on you than you're doing something you're happy about. I can mix and engineer till 3, 4 in the morning. Fine.
Yeah, and not even think about it.
Yeah. And then wake up the next day, and if I don't have work and there's more engineering to do, I'll jump right on that. But if I did 4 in the morning and then had to work the next morning, that's the hardest wake up you ever put yourself through. It's just, your body knows. Your body knows what truly serves you and what doesn't. And unfortunately, we live in a place where you need that dollar or you're not doing any of it. You know what I mean?
It's so bad. It's so bad. So, you know, I'm trying to find ways to create that dollar, you know, for myself. And so, because it got to the point too where I was like, I'm making a lot of money for this company. Like, I'm doing a lot of trainings.
Yep.
I'm taking anyone that's new that succeeds in that company over the past 5 years went through me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have like a pool of people that I dealt with and helped, and they're making the company this much more money. I'm like, my residual effect on the company is millions of dollars.
Right.
Like, why am I wasting my time doing that with them when I can do that for myself?
Yeah, they hit you with the illusion of you're making a lot of money.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If you really estimate your value, that's why I went into business for myself. You know, I know what people were charging for me to be on site hourly.
Yeah.
And I know how much of that was actually making it down to me. And I'm not an idiot. All right, I understand how business works and that, you know, those dollars are supporting the administration that's supporting you. So some of it doesn't go in your pocket, but I have a lot more in my pocket since doing things myself. It's just, you know, it's a more direct relationship between like the work you put yourself through each day and your benefit from it, as opposed to, you know, you work for somebody else. Like, they're gonna line their pockets before they line yours. I don't care who it is. You know, they'd be foolish not to.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's one of those things where I'm coming to the point where I have to make a decision now. It's like, do I spend the next 5-10 years building something that may or may not work, or do I go get a job and just get a paycheck? You know what I mean?
You do both.
I know.
You do both things, both less quickly than you would like to. But
right, that 10 years turns into 20 real fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
of course. But luckily, some things are ageless, right? It's not like playing in a rock and roll band like when we were younger. There was like a constant like, oh well, when I'm 25, no one's gonna want to watch me do this anymore. So. Yeah, you can do something like this for a long time. You know, the electronic music. I know Calvin Harris is starting to get up there in age. You know, he was young when he got into it, but you know, I can be an old guy behind a set of decks. I'd be okay with that. You know, later on in my life, I wouldn't mind it too much. So yeah,
nice. So this is definitely something that you're staying in this lane, or are you looking to break out and mix with other genres, or?
I will do a collaboration with anyone. I do still pick up my guitar. I don't play it. I'm to the point where I pick it up and I'm frustrated with myself because I'm like, it's not the same. Yeah. But I know it's like riding a bike. I just have to shake some rust off. But yeah, for now, I mean, it's just going back to the no one having any time for anything. It's the easiest thing. You know, if it were a band or a group of 3 or 4 people, me taking the 2, let's see if the 2 hours I actually have this week align with everyone else's week, you know, it becomes really difficult. It's a lot easier to, you know, at 10:30 at night, get inspired, walk 3 feet over to my desk and throw something down. So for now, this is both as a matter of practicality and preference what I'm kind of doing. But yeah, anytime I can find time to work with anybody, I do. Probably going to shoot out this weekend to go see another friend from back in the day that I haven't worked with in years and just try to do something, because you never know. You know, sometimes the right juices at the right time, you can produce something. All you got to do nowadays is like one thing, you know, and it's maybe you don't pay your whole life off, but maybe you get a nice little payday from that, and then you can expand out and you get the confidence that you need to say, maybe I can do this, you know, because that's the struggle right there.
Or maybe it opens up a door, opens up an opportunity for, oh, hey, someone will come along and be like, oh, you know what, I like what you do, I'll pay you to do it. Yeah. You know, and take all the time you need.
Yeah, right? You don't know where that's going to come from. You kind of got to ride that life current a little bit. Just let it drag you around instead of swimming against it all day. See where it drops you.
And that's so true. Swimming against the current is such a good analogy.
Dude, yeah, I firmly believe that, you know, you could talk about religion and spirituality, but I like to spare people because that just ends up either in arguments or, you know, jerk off contests like, oh yeah, I like this too. Oh yeah, it feels good. But, you know, it's essentially if if you look at what's going on in your life like something that's supposed to happen instead of something that's happening to you or is wrong, it really changes the way you perceive it, and you can kind of ride with where things take you. You know,
Yeah.
I've had some bad stuff go on in the last couple of years. You know, I had my sister's husband passed away,
really?
pretty recently, and I had a big outshowing from everybody. I would like to thank all of them personally if I could, but so many people came through and helped her out. But like one of the main things that comes from something like that is it draws family together. She was in Virginia. I wasn't seeing her that often, and now I've seen her a lot more. She moved her back up here, so it's like you get to choose how you perceive things. It's really the only thing you're in control of, right? Is how am I going to let this speak to me and write who I am as a person. And if you take things on the chin and you deal with them and you make the best out of them, you end up moving someplace at least instead of you swim against the current and you're in the same place you were for 20 years. That hurts. That sucks to look at, and it's really very easy. You just gotta let things happen, man, and put yourself in a position to let things happen. Otherwise, they won't.
Dude, it's so true. And what I'm seeing now is because I've been having a lot of conversations with people lately, and I'm finding that at least a lot of the people we know, in our age group are kind of running into that same thing.
Yeah.
Like they're like around 30, between 30 and 35, they're hitting that spot. It's like, all right, what did I do for the past 15 years? And how do I turn that into something for the next 15 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, what was I good at? What did I like? What was I into? Was I just wasting time? Was I just sitting there doing nothing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what was I doing that whole time? Whereas I feel like if I was 20 and I was thinking like that, I don't even know what I would say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of the things you wish you knew when you were young what you know now, but you had to go through all that stuff. You had to burn 10 years to realize how quick 10 years burns, Otherwise,
right. Yeah,
otherwise
exactly.
You have no perspective on like, wow, this is a short thing, because you're invincible when you're a kid.
I know.
Your whole life's ahead of you. You know stuff can happen, but you look around you and you go like, I got time. You look in the mirror, I'm still healthy. And now I look in the mirror, I'm like, that's a new spot on your face. That's a little bit less hair,
Yeah, it's a little bit more weight. It's,
it's going up the stairs sucked a little more that time. It's all that stuff. You start to comprehend your own mortality at this age. And again, two ways you can perceive that. You can get depressed about it and you can fall into a shell and resume more of the behaviors that comfort you that don't get you anywhere. Netflixing for hours, which all these things, I'm not speaking holier than thou. I'm guilty of literally all these.
Right.
But or you can just say, well, it's time to put the foot on the gas because if I don't, there's not going to be a gas pedal to push down on in a few years anyway. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Scary and enlightening at the same time,
Yeah, and be willing to take a chance. Bet on yourself a little bit,
Yeah, I got to take some of my own advice on that.
You should.
It's exactly, you're a musician. I don't have to explain it to you. Anyone who listens who's a musician and doesn't understand resistance, like it's built into you, it's a constant struggle over, should I be doing this? Is this a good usage of my time? But yeah, like you were just saying, start to think about, well, what are you actually using your time to do? That would be better than that. How much time could you waste on this and not even feel it if you just cut out, useless activities that really don't do you much good? I love NHL 19, but I've had to restrict it to like 2 nights a week because otherwise that game is great.
Oh my God. So this kind of falls into why I wanted to bring you over, because I'll tell you this. So we've known each other for over a decade now, probably, right? Around, if I want to say like 08, it's probably, we graduated in 08.
I'm going to be 34. We definitely knew each other before my senior year of college. So it was...
Yeah, way before.
Yeah.
Because I think you were like a semester ahead of me.
Yeah, so it's got to be 11 years, 12 years, something like that.
So in that 11 years, you're someone I think about all the time. You really are. So, and the reason why is because I've always seen how talented you are.
Thank you very much.
I have. And I've always wondered, like, man, like, he's so good, but I feel like you stop yourself a lot. Or like what you just said, like, taking your own advice and things like that. I'm like, but he's so good at things. Yeah. Because you're one of those kids that, like, would get good at something, and then now you're bored with it. You want to move on to the next thing and get good at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. That's that's resistance rearing its ugly head in a very convoluted way. Is this is as good as you're going to get at this. So either stop doing it or man up. And man up's never been the option, right?
Right.
Yeah, thank you for that. That it means a lot because I'll be completely honest with you. I don't view myself as talented. I view everybody else that I see that's more talented than me, and I don't see past that. I see that. That's all I see.
But that's where that competition.
Well, that's what makes you good at what you do. You've got to
you got to get better.
Yeah, you're
but that could be a handcuff as well.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And also too, and I feel like you might have this because I know I have this. I think of something, I have an idea, I'm like, all right, I want to do this, but my abilities don't line up with where I want to go with my
Your
idea.
expectation.
Like I want, like I could think and write out an entire guitar solo that'd be, November Rain, but I can't play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Oh,
I just didn't I didn't spend the time to learn how to play it when I was younger. I didn't put the time in. I got to a point that was like, I'm good enough. All right, let me move on to this.
Yes, yeah.
I never really got past that, and that's on me. But I would have never have known that at the time. You know what I mean? At the time of doing it, that hindsight's 2020, of course. But that's what I feel like happens sometimes. It's like I think about I can make this so awesome, but then my means or my abilities just stop me, and then I just give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally from the first song to the very last song I ever made, especially in the box EDM, because it's easy when you're working with a band. You kind of have this constant, somebody's hot in that
someone's
moment.
pulling some weight in a certain direction.
Somebody's doing something. The drummers,
wave.
he's making something, or somebody's bringing something to the table. There's just too many people for it not to happen. But when you sit down by yourself and you're trying to be creative, it's really just, it's like, well, put something down, and it all plays into that. Like, you just got to start. You just have to do something, because if you already have that attitude of, I want it to be better, you'll do it. You'll make it better, but you're not going to make anything better if you don't have a first try to jump off of, to improve upon. And that's what I've found in the periods of times where I'm making more songs, even if like 2 or 3 of them in between every fourth is crap, like that fourth one or that second or third one, that just every now and then, because I'm making them frequently, it flows out. The whole song's down in like less than an hour. I'm not mixing it over and over and over again for weeks. Like, that's the formula to just do, because you will improve. Your human beings are miraculous. It's crazy what we're capable of. I mean, I've seen people do things that you wouldn't even think are physically possible, and their answer is like, how'd you get this? And it's like, oh, a lot of practice. And
practice makes perfect, right?
It's such a cliche, but it's so fundamentally true. There's no escaping it. You can buy every plugin, you can download every sample pack, you can have a phenomenal ear. Unless you're sitting and making the stuff, unless you're giving your art credit that it deserves you to be working at it every day, it's not going to reward you. It's not going to give you that thing. And even when it does, you have to be prepared to not be proud of it 30 minutes after you make it.
Yeah.
Because there's moments where you create something, you're like, this is awesome. I can't believe I did this. I've even had moments where I get emotional listening back in the car, like, what is wrong with you? Like, listen to this. You did this. This is, if you heard this and you didn't know you would be like, wow, this is dope. Who is this?
Right.
It's so hard to make that connection. It's so fleeting that you just have to, the more time you spend with your art, the more intimately related you are to how you feel about your art. And you can work yourself. You can smack yourself around and say, like, shut up, ego. Like, get to work on this song.
That's such a good way of saying, like, if you didn't know you and you didn't know you did that, what would you think about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a hard headspace to get yourself into, but it's critical, because that's essentially how you evaluate everything else, right? You don't have any kind of personal relationship. You're just hearing it and letting it affect you. But 32, 52, 72, 102 hours into a mix, it's like, I don't even know what I'm listening to.
It's just mishmash in your head.
It's just garbage.
Yeah, exactly. And then you play it for someone, and they go, and you're like, why are you making that face?
If I had a record sale for every time somebody said, what are you doing with this, I would already have a nice catalog of sales, placements, but it doesn't translate. I don't know what it is. It's musicians are self-critical by nature, and that's good, and like you said, good and bad.
For sure.
Yeah.
Musicians are just critical by nature. Like, you can, because even just from a musician's mindset, any song I hear that was near close to the genre that I my playground that I played in, I'm super critical of it, and I don't want to be. I want to enjoy it, but I hear things. I'm not making myself be, things are happening. I'm hearing them.
And then add being an engineer to that. And not only are you a
that's-
musician and you're listening critically to that, but like add, oh man, I don't know about that hi-hat. It's ripping through the mix. Nobody cares.
No one cares.
One of my favorite memes right now is from Jurassic Park 1. It's the scene where the guy sits down. He's like, Dotson, we got Dotson here. See, nobody cares. And they replace that with, it's like, hey, he's using analog gear. He's got analog gear. See, nobody cares. It's like that thing that you think is so important and you think it's the missing piece. Like, oh, my music would be good, but I don't have this.
Yeah, I don't have that SSL
my
channel.
computer's not good enough, or I have somebody to mix it. Like, they're all just excuses. Like, people with a lot lesser music are putting it out and making money. I mean, like, look at Cardi B, dude. Like,
I love Cardi B.
I'm not taking anything away from what she does, but like the production behind her, it slaps together. There's no way that was years and years of labor and hard work. I'm not saying she hasn't been through her trials in life. Everybody has.
Obviously.
But like, she has not been grinding on her music game like some of us for years and years and years. And she ends up in the right situation. People slap the right thing together, and then you hear that and you're like, oh, well, clearly I could have it if I had A, B, and C. But it's like, you don't even need A, B, and C. You just need to like actually sit down and do it. And like, if it's not good, you do it again. And if it sucks again, you do it 3 more times. And one day, who cares how far it goes? Like, develop an art.
Yeah.
Be proud of something years later.
Get better at it.
Right.
Yeah, get better at it. So Cardi B too, though, she has a story behind her, which I think is
people acclimate to that.
Yeah. Dude, like, I mean, she came from literally nothing, and probably in one of the worst situations most people consider the worst situation.
Yeah.
Being a stripper or whatever, like dealing with drugs and assholes all day long.
Yep.
Like literally everyone she's ever met throughout the entire time was a piece of shit.
People who are paying for sex technically are not the most let's say well balanced people.
Yeah. Let's say historically.
Yeah, just as if you're taking statistics, they would lean one way for sure.
So if you've been dealing with that your whole life, now you got a break, and now you just start shouting at the top of your lungs about it.
Yeah.
Now look at her. She had something to say.
Which always really interests me too, because I feel like people are never. There's 2 types of experiences that people are really, really gravitated to. One that matches theirs perfectly, that they can empathize with, and one that they could never even understand. And I think Cardi B is that second category for a lot of people. They don't even know what it's like. That's why people love books on, all kinds of tragedies and surviving them. People want to feel that and gravitate to anyone who explain that. So yeah, she does offer something with her music. My previous rant is no way to put down Cardi B, but it's just an example of like
how the music's made.
She's not. There's the thing that's special about her is that she put it out there, right? That if she felt hung up and had difficulty speaking about the traumas in her life, she would not be,
of course,
what she is. You got to just put your art out there and let it come back to you.
Yeah.
If people criticize you, man, take it and move with it. You know what I mean? It's most of the time it's helpful. I had a problem with that initially. It wasn't that like I'd get angry at people, but I just take it really personally. If someone didn't like something, like it would just hit me, because you put so much time and effort into it and you don't even know how to react. But then one day I just started listening. Someone would be like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, it's not making me groove. It's like not moving me. I'd be like, okay. And then I would hear that. I'd go back. I'd be like, you're absolutely right. I can tell that this doesn't have that thing to it. It's just sometimes it takes someone else to step you out of your own headspace to realize things.
Yeah, for sure. I wish I had more of that. You know what I mean? I wish to this day I wish I had more of that, because I feel, me, I'm very like I'm doing it this way because what you don't understand is I've been thinking about this for weeks to do it this way, and you come in and tell me to do it differently. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like, don't do that. But then a lot of times it's really good advice. So you gotta learn how to take it.
Yeah. So, or at least ingest it and then decide if it's right for you or not. Because that's I'm a firm believer that, especially in the musical community, some people, when they offer criticism, are doing it just because you asked them, and they get to say something. And that's not normally like your close group of friends. Like, that's normally like second or third ring out from people that you know. But yeah, you can't always take all of it and because someone's gonna have something to say about anything too. That's another reason that you should just get your music out there. Is like, even if you made the EDM equivalent of like Bach's Fifth, someone would still say like, oh, I don't know, man, too many notes in there. There'd be some criticism. So you just gotta do it. You take the criticism that speaks to you.
And one of the worst too, and I had a huge problem with this, is there were people that I admired or I looked up to, or maybe I just really wanted them to like what I was doing, and then they didn't. And that's soul crushing. Yeah. Like, have you experienced that? Where it's like, man, I can't wait to show this person. I really want them to like this. And then they go, it's all right. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah. Because the whole time you're thinking like, you've already created the reaction that they're going to have in your head. And that's where you're just setting yourself up to get let down. Because you don't know. That's another reason I have a problem with, knowing that I'm good at what I do, is because when people are like, dude, that's pretty good. I think like, yeah, that's what you would say. You don't want to hurt my feelings. Like, you're just being nice. Like, that's, you know, I would say that to somebody even if I didn't, because, you know, you only really criticize people that you know well enough. You know, if you showed me something, I'd offer critical feedback. Yeah. Because I know you're asking me because you don't just want to be told.
No, I know because I know your experiences and what you're capable of. And I know, like, you have an ear for things that I wouldn't have. Right. So I'm like, what do you think about this? You'd be like, oh, this, and this. I'm like, didn't even think about that. Thank you. You know?
Yeah.
Where some people, it's, you know.
Some people just, again, goes into that category of like, I want to say something right now. I have a chance to influence this guy's creativity. Like, yeah, it's a hard thing to navigate. Music's a hard thing to navigate.
Really, creativity in general is a hard thing. Like, even so, like when my wife, if I would do something on guitar, right, you know, pretty much anything I do, she's like, oh, that sounds really good. I'm like, yeah, but you don't play guitar.
And does she listen to heavier music?
Not particularly.
But
you know what I mean?
A heavy riff if she heard it. Yeah, so you like, immediately put him in this category of like, yeah, I am apex musician though, and you don't know. I hear flaws. Yeah. You don't hear flaws.
I hear so many flaws, and there's so many like just inconsistencies and stuff like that. And she's like, well, it sounds good. And I'm like, it doesn't sound good in my head. I'm like, well, thank you for the feedback. But I feel like, well, who am I? Yeah. You know, she's saying it sounds good.
Right.
She, you know.
My girlfriend's at a point of exasperation. Like, literally does not even compliment me anymore. Like, I'll play something and she'll see I'm hyped about it. And I'll be like, she'll look at me and she'll be like, I don't know why you're looking at me. Do something with it. Like, how many bangers are you going to play? Yeah. You know, how many. I did really well at the show. I was very concerned. I'd never DJ'd before. So I wasn't going to buy Serato and do a whole new thing. So I just kind of launched things out of Ableton. Whole time I was worried. I was like, this is going to suck. I'm going to suck. Like, I was practicing. I kept stopping the music on accident. I was like, I can't do that. I can't be that guy that the music stops. Even if the transitions are garbage, like, the music can't stop. And she's like, you're going to be fine. This is what you do. You do this while you're getting good at something, and then when you get good at it, it's like, oh, I'm not good enough, and it's like, she's like, I can't listen to it anymore. I can't. I played the show, and there wasn't all the transitions went flawlessly. There wasn't a single stop, and there's a few people that came up afterwards and were like, wow, that was really cool, and like still was not good enough for me. Like, it's like,
what do you know? What do you know what cool is?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you didn't even hear the music the way I hear it, and it's like that attitude's like, just got to go. That's so next killer on the checklist. Like, that attitude has got to go. I got to start, because people read that too, right? If you're not amped about your own stuff and you're on stage performing it, like, it draws their energies and as up as it could be. Like,
for sure.
I got to start getting amped about it. Like, when I was playing in the hardcore band, it was so easy to get amped about that music. The Senate, even, you know, so many talented musicians around you. You're like, somebody's gonna like something here because this is all pretty good.
Yeah. And once you see people like moving to anything you do, like, that's the key. Yeah. If they're singing a lyric, if you have lyrics, if they're singing a lyric that you wrote, it's amazing. And if they're moving to your music, whether it be dance or EDM or hardcore, that's them telling you, hey, we like what you're doing. Don't stop. Keep doing this, you know?
Yep.
You know, that's an exhilarating feeling.
You have to accept it. You have to be like, oh, they're not just dancing because there's an awkward rhythm happening. You know, they enjoy it. You know, people don't dance when they don't like it. It's like one of the first things. People already feel like they're exposing themselves when they start dancing. So if the music's not moving them, they're just not going to do it at all. So if you see somebody moving, you got to do something with it. You got to feed back. You got to give them back.
Yeah, there's a pocket of energy right there. Yep. You know, that you're both in. Yep. If you feel me, I feel you. We're going to keep going. Boom, boom, boom. You know, that's a feeling that I definitely miss.
Yeah, it was really good playing the show because that was my first show I had done in, I want to say, 6 years.
Wow,
was that show? So it was like doing it with a girl for the first time. You can't even take in everything that's happening. You just know you're enjoying it. You know, so it's like that's exactly what the situation was all over again. It was like playing my first show all over again. I was very like. I did like it. I enjoyed it, but I was so focused on what I'm doing and like, am I doing this correctly?
It's so hard to live in that moment. Yeah, because you're like, I'm creating this moment, so I got to pay attention to everything. Yep. I can't be like just feeling it. You know what I mean? Which sometimes you can.
You get there. You just get there when you're a master. When you've done it enough times, that's you see guys that have been doing it for years and years really enjoying themselves up there, and you're like, yeah, I can't wait to get to that. But again, you got to do it over and over and over. It's a lot of shows to book. Yeah. It's a big, heavy road case, carry a lot of different places on these old knees.
Let's listen to one here. Well, exclusive.
Yeah, it's pretty exclusive. It's sort of a big deal. Dash Splash, a lot of people like. You can play Dash Splash. It's
and we can cut this out if you don't want. I just want to
hear it. Play it for sure.
Yeah, I like the acoustic drums.
Yeah.
Big fan of the acoustic drums. That tension.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the things are on the upbeat. It's like it's coming in at weird,
Yeah, syncopation.
Yeah.
I like the syncopation on the snare drum.
really good, like John Wick in walking around the city music.
Funny,
You know what I mean?
John Wick 2's got a song in it that as soon as I heard the song, I was like, I need to find a way to integrate this into my set. This song is fire.
Yeah, I picture like just Keanu walking, nighttime rain, about to whoop someone's ass. You know what I mean? Getting ready like in a nightclub somewhere. You know?
Yeah, it makes me very happy when somebody offers a description like that this music creates in their head, like it puts them in a scene.
Immediately.
That's the whole point. I love that.
When it stops, I'll tell you how I felt. Transition.
Yeah, trying to add more tricks to the bag and play with different ways of getting in and out of things.
That's what makes it unique. It's the subtle little things, you know? That's a fun track.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so that track was brought to you by Duct Tape.
By Duct Tape?
Yeah, so if you get a chance to listen back to it, one of the basses is I open up some duct tape and threw some distortion and stuff like that, and it worked really well. I mean, I've never had a bass sound so much like a neuro bass from a physical thing. So yeah, that song brought to you by Duct Tape. I still use that bass in new stuff.
That's hilarious. Like immediately though, right when it first started playing, like right in here. Like, because I think of everything music wise. I think about it as if I'm watching a movie because I just associate the two.
Yep.
So like this, I'm seeing like credits slowly rolling by, Keanu Reeves, whatever, like, and then they've seen a beat of the story, like it's a sequel, so you sort of like what happened.
Yeah.
And you get a cut and another credit, and then it's like something else happened. He's walking. This has a very purposeful march to it.
Yes, the song does drive you.
Yeah, it's like someone walking like that. They're walking because they're intentional.
Yeah, right.
And it opens up a little bit. It's really cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so one of 9. They're all over the place. I wish I was more musically focused, but then I kind of actually enjoy. That it's a lot of different songs. There's nothing worse than like popping an album in and by like the 4th song you're like, okay,
I get it. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, more use of like Foley sounds and things like that. Trying to integrate some synths that like people don't really hear in this music. I feel like everything's so aggressive in dubstep and dance music that I like to pull it, like you said, the acoustic drums and the acoustic cymbals rather than sounding overly processed or like nice and natural. And I feel like that's a nice dynamic thing for all these like quirky digital sounding things to sit in. It gives you like roundness and familiarity with something that you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
there's
it's
drums.
tangible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know, like some sounds I'm like, I don't know how you made that sound. It's a computer sound to me, But some sounds I'm like, oh, I know what those instruments are. Now I can associate with them how they sit in the mix, and like that's triggering this other thing. And
Yep.
Yeah, that's important. I think that's important personally, but.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the contact drums. I like to pull them out and do some processing to them because they just sound so organic and natural, and it's so hard to sit and track a drummer, like especially. So Joe Ionati, if you remember.
Yeah,
Joe
I saw a video of him playing.
Yeah, so he does. So he didn't get to play the first show with me because just space and timing restrictions. It actually doesn't take that much longer for him to set up. I'd say it's like 5 more minutes, but there's no room on the stage for him. So we'll be doing shows, me and him, soon enough, but. He plays along to a lot of my stuff, and he's always not complaining because he enjoys the music, but he's like, dude, do you ever play anything that's a straight rhythm? And you were mentioning that too with the syncopation and like parts. I just love it, man. You want to talk about like hardcore influence, like
upbeats.
I love stuff on the upbeat. I love snares and weird places that like, you can if you rock continuously on the quarter or the eighth to it, you'll land in the right place all the time. But I like to just throw little surprises in there and pop things out of nowhere. So. Expect a ton of that in the other 8 songs. It's like lots of. I definitely have an identity when it comes to that stuff.
That's good though, because that's your flavor. That's your flavor of ice cream. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All right. So that brings me to a question. So when you're developing these, like you've obviously have a ton of these, and they're all different.
Yeah.
Do you have a theme or an inspiration in mind, or are you just kind of going with whatever sounds good next? You know what I mean? Like, oh, this sounds good. Why would it sound good after this?
It's a lot of sounds good next. It's a lot more elaborate than just sounds good next, but that's probably the best way to sum it up because I always have an idea when I sit down. It normally bears the most influence on the drums because it just, for whatever reason, when I work, that's what I lay first. I can hear all the synths in the world in my head, but it's hard to build around that and do it correctly unless you have that essential beat down. So it normally starts with like 8 bars. I mean, a lot of people work that way. I put something down that I think I enjoy.
Yeah, find your tempo, whatever, right?
But I try to stay really open to what the software is giving me because it's not a brain reader. It's not going to automatically put down what I'm thinking. So at some point, you kind of have to accept that because you could fight all freaking day with that, with trying to make exactly what you hear in your head happen. Take you days, weeks, and you would still not be any closer to finishing a song because you're just looking for the perfect synth. That all goes back to like you should be doing sound design at a different time anyway. But when it comes down to making the song, it's normally like an 8-bar loop. And then I try to use my knowledge of musicality to determine like, well, what's another complementary part to this? How can I develop some tension? How can I develop stagnation? I normally like to do like the drop first, but it doesn't always work out that way. I'll sit down with the aim of like, oh, I'm going to do like the main part. But then I like start working, and in that part I hear like, oh, it could go this way. So I do an 8-bar loop. I stack it full of shit. It's normally way too much shit. It's normally more than any song would ever call for, but I just do all the layers at that point. And then I punch holes in it. I like pull stuff out. Like, okay, I don't delete it. Let's just mute this for now and move it over. Let's mute this. And then I start to try to develop a theme because that's pretty important. It's got to have like a theme. It's got to have something to it that's recognizable that when you hear it, you're like, oh, this song's playing. And then from there, it's like the parts that I muted, I unmute them. I see if they can work to make another part, if I can reshape them. And if not, I just open up a new synth and try to apply from there. But those are the biggest, like, I guess, decision-making points that really change the song, that they're not so obvious when they're happening. But I'm like, oh, I realize right now this song has to go somewhere else. I can't just play this 8 bars over and over. So let me do anything. Let me take the drum rhythm and switch it up slightly. And then all of a sudden from that's where I really get into, I'm feeding off what the computer is giving me. Now I'm not just trying to force my will on it, because I feel like it's really hard in that moment to do that. But just try to make different things, and the software gives you something, you run with it, you know? So that's essentially it. It's a whole bunch of that. And then once you get like 2 or 3 parts, then you can start arranging. Then you just copy and paste stuff and put it in different places and try to make a song length's worth of stuff, and then, you know, delete stuff or add stuff based on like, oh, maybe this should be an intro. And that's when musicianship, you know, just kicks in the background, like, oh, you make it a song. You know,
make it a song.
Instead of just a bunch of parts. And I equate that to, you know, you painted the ocean. So you did a really deep blue, and then you did a greenish blue, and then there's like this light green by the beach, and then you have the beach. And then you want to start blending them together, because you don't want just blocks of colors. So that's like taking the parts and blending them together. That's kind of what I equate to like Bob Ross with the dry brush. Right. Like, I'm gonna go over.
That's
it all
where
now,
like the real creativity happens, where you're like fitting it and piecing it together and gluing it together, so it's seamless.
And that's basically what people hear a lot too, are those transitions. That's what people like. They, you know, because I feel like good music, it takes you someplace that you could have guessed you were gonna go, but you didn't. You know, like you didn't know the part was coming.
Yeah.
You knew something was coming, and then when it drops, you're like, yeah, this makes sense. This is a good, you know, response to the call that was the verse. But,
right. Yeah, like when I think about how to like structure a song, you know what I mean? The transitions are always the hardest for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can riff you a fucking dope riff, and I can riff you another dope riff. How do I put them together?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do they work together? Why would they work together? What complements them? What's the feeling I want to do here? Like, that transition was always like the toughest part for me.
Yeah, you're dead on. It's really difficult to do, especially keeping the energy of the song and not feeling like it went into a different place. It takes certain techniques. One of my favorite is taking something from the new thing that's about to happen and making it happen in the previous thing that you're about to leave, so that even if it doesn't fit perfectly, or if it seems kind of out of nowhere, when it comes, you're like, oh, okay, so they just
foreshadowing.
Literary elements. It's amazing how many analogies there are in art. You talk about writing literature or painting paintings or even light shows and music. It's all just like the same, you know.
Yeah, you're telling a story. You know, so I'm a big. A lot of people know this, but I'm a big wrestling fan. A lot of people don't like wrestling. I don't know how much you know about wrestling, but the thing in wrestling is what they do is when there's 2 guys in a ring, they're telling a story. So if you're looking at a live event, there's no announcer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what they're trying to do is they're telling you a story. One guy's a good guy, one guy's a bad guy. It's the reason why they're fighting. Bad guy's going to cheat or work on something. And good guy's going to fight through all that struggle and then eventually win. That's generally how like it's structured, but they tell a story throughout with their motion.
Yep.
You know, and it's the same thing. Like you're telling a story where you want to go with this and why it's getting there. Like, for example, foreshadowing. Like, this is coming. So, like, if there's a monster coming on a drop, you know, and you hint at it, it's kind of... It's subconscious almost, where it's like, oh, here, now I can expect it.
Yeah, and it sounds so elementary when you sit and talk about it, and you're just like, oh, yeah, there's a struggle, it's tension builds, there's a release of the tension, and then there's resolution. You know, and but go ahead and try to do that while you're on the computer putting the sounds together. Like, try to...
Bit by bit. How do you hang on to that? So that's a good question for you, is how do you hang on? Like, because I know I've done MIDI drums my entire life.
Right.
I'll lose the beat sometimes of what I was trying to do just because of the amount of time it takes really planning it out and typing it in and literally doing the physical work.
There's 2 sides to that coin. One is and it goes back to practicing your craft, and it goes back to The War of Art and what a phenomenal book it is. If you're well rehearsed enough at what you're doing, whether that be making MIDI drums or writing on the guitar, when inspiration hits, you'll be fast enough to get it down correctly.
Right.
So I'm really quick in Ableton. I don't play anything in. I click it in with the mouse. I'm good on a piano roll, and I've gotten to the point where now I can make a melody happen quickly enough and in the correct rhythm that I don't feel like I lose it by the time I get done with it. So that's the immediate inspiration side. How do I get this idea out before it evaporates?
Right.
But then there's how do I keep the song on the path to being the song despite being in it all the time? And the best answer I can give for that is walk away from it. Stop. Every hour, every 45 minutes, stop for 15 minutes. And then after a day or two, don't go back to it right away. Get your head out of what you're working on. We humans have this this propensity to fall into stream of consciousness and just idea. And we're really good at big picture, but you have to get yourself into that headspace. So some of the best advancements I've made on songs that felt like they were stuck in a spot where they weren't a song yet and that they needed something or they needed to be pulled in a direction before they be, viable. It came because I didn't touch them for a couple of weeks. And then I sat back down, and then it's amazing. Then you're mad at yourself because you're like, oh my God, I didn't hear this. Like, this got to go. Too much going on here. Like, this should happen twice. This is too good to just happen once. Why are you flying by this? Like, things that you just are not, you are hearing the song over and over and over and over and over again. So how sensitive you are to how many times a part happens, if it goes away. You're not anymore. You're not thinking about the guy that listened to it just once and how it made him feel that you sat on this part 8 times and then you got past this part 1 time, So it's good. You step out of it, and then really, because you're not doing the things with your hands, you're just listening in the car to it one day, weeks later, the ideas come in. And then that's where it's the other side of the coin. Like, all right, well, now I got to get home. I got to get this into the computer correctly, the way I'm hearing it. Because you know, right? In your the mind's miraculous. You can do a whole song top to bottom. Just good luck getting anybody else to hear it.
Right, exactly.
So,
exactly.
That's why I say it's 2 sides. It's being able to step away from it and reevaluate and take another big picture shot of what you've done so far, because there's going to be inspiration in that too. Even if you had a different idea for what the song was going to be than what you're currently constructed with, that's going to offer new insight and new ideas, because you don't know what you're going to make. You just make.
Yeah. That's very well said.
Thank you.
It really is, because I always put, like, when I was doing this, with a real thought in mind of doing it a lot and doing it as primary, we always put this imaginary deadline on ourselves, and we didn't give ourselves time to really sit with things.
Yep.
And sit on them. You know what I mean? One of the towards the end, one of the last songs we recorded, we got to a point where we don't have like a bridge and a breakdown here. We just don't have it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I think it might have even been Deuce was just like, hey, why don't you play that riff that you play at practice, like in the beginning of practice, just for fun? And I'm just like warming up, whatever. I'm like, all right, let me see if this works.
In.
Beautifully. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things I was like, I would have never thought about that, but then it just popped up out of nowhere, and it's something I do all the time.
Yeah.
You
it's one of those things that people feel like certain things just go to waste because you never took the time to make a song out of them. But everything you've ever created as a musician is useful, and you should look back on. There's plenty of times where I'm at a spot and I just have no idea where to go, and then I'm like, oh, let me take this old idea, and that's, people are dead set on like not getting into the bad habit of moving on to another song before you complete the last song, and there's some validity to that. Because you should get good at finishing songs.
Right.
That's an art. That's
you should know how to complete a song.
Yeah, that's a whole different set of rules than just coming up with ideas. Finishing a song, putting a bow on it, and saying I'm done takes time. But once you know you can do that, you shouldn't be afraid to have a bunch of projects open. The worst that happens is that where you're at as a musician floats between the two and gets sprinkled across all of them, and now you have a creative work that sounds like an album. So there's no negative to having, do a song till you're blue in the face, and then when you literally like, this is garbage, I can't listen to this anymore, stop working on it and open up a new one and get the new idea out that makes you, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
You want the new idea out already. You're like, oh, I could do this better if I just started over. So get that out, and even if you do a third new one and all 3 of them sit in this limbo state for a couple of weeks, guarantee you when you go back to them, at least one of them, you'll be like, I know what I can do with that.
Yeah.
Because it's in you. It's just a constant struggle between your ego, the voice in your head that's telling you things to do, and the guy that's listening the whole time. That's actually where the creativity comes from, that silent one in the back. Creativity never gets, feel like when you come up with an idea, it doesn't get said to you.
No.
Like you pull it out. You know, you pull it out from someplace. You know, you don't know why you're picking the notes you're picking. They didn't get said to you, but you're drawing them out, and that's how I like to look at it. You know, the quiet one's the one that knows what he's doing. So
for sure,
shut yourself up and listen to that more than the talking.
Yeah, 100% of my best ideas come about 5 minutes before I fall asleep.
Yep.
And it's such a pain in the ass because I'm like I want to write this down, and I have the phone. You know, I'll just type in words and like try and catch it. And sometimes I'll get it.
Yeah.
You know, and then sometimes it'll just be like just gibberish. But I was like, I know it was a good idea. Like it was clear because I was relaxed or in a certain state of mind where I'm silent. You know.
You've convinced your body it's okay to go to sleep. So it's like, oh, I guess we could create now too if we wanted to because we're not thinking about anything else.
Yeah, no one's watching.
Right. You're about to shut down, so we can do whatever we want. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of the best ideas come late. I don't know what that is or what it has to do with the human psyche, but...
There's like a level of tired that makes you creative, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll sit at home. I'll get home from work early at like 2 o'clock, and Emma will be like, you going to make music? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm probably on the phone. And then an hour later, I thought you were going to make music. Yeah, I don't know, maybe on the TV. And then next thing I know, it's 10:45, and I get up and go sit at the computer. And she's like, you're going to start now. And I was like, feels good now. Feels like it wants to happen now. You know, you can't, you can try to force it. You can sit down and just for the sake of practice, like fiddle around. But the good stuff, the good stuff comes when you're feeling it.
Yeah, it comes when it comes.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird like that.
Yeah, it's a fight. It's a constant fight.
It's funny. I'm so similar because and it's funny you say Emma like drives so she's telling you, hey, you're not doing anything right now. Why don't you go make music? It's like I get that it doesn't really work like that because you need to be inspired and you need to be in a right frame of mind, and like just coming off of work, it's like you need to come down from whatever happened that day.
Yeah,
you know, but. Dayton does the same thing, and it's cool. It's encouraging.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's nice to have. It's someone going like, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this?"
Yeah, and she's done a good job of realizing it's not annoying. Because the way I react to it, any human being that didn't know me as well as they know me would be like, "He's annoyed by this. I'm going to stop asking him," because I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know." But she just knows that that's how I get. You know, that's another meme I see all the time. Is like, there's two moods to being a musician. It's this track is awesome. I'm fucking dope. I'm going to do something with this. And then the second one is, I'm god awful. How many years of my life am I going to waste before I realize this isn't for me?
Yes.
And it's all of us. And you guys just at least take comfort in that, like that at least everyone who does
even the most successful people think that way,
That's what makes them good. You have a high expectation for yourself, for music in general. Before you're even making it, your expectation for music is raised. So having to deal with that guy while you're making music that maybe you're just starting out, maybe you're just learning techniques, it's a battle. Making music for Steve Luce in front of Steve Luce sucks because he's a critical ass. He's one of the worst.
No, I get that. It's also weird if you're making music of a genre that you love, like really love, because then you're holding yourself to the standards of the best people that ever did that genre.
Yes.
And that's unattainable at sometimes. You know what I mean? Like don't try to be them so much. Like try to do your own thing.
The comparison's the worst. It's another double-edged sword. That it's good to have standards for yourself, but if you're going to compare yourself to his music and someone else that you like and try to make it as good as it, then you're not really making anything new, are you? You're just trying to knock that off.
Exactly. And that's all it ends up being. That's all it ends up being.
Yes. The struggles
of creativity. And nowadays too, it's just I feel like so old. I say that all the time. I say nowadays constantly. But it's true. Like we have so much access. I can literally click 3 buttons and be at every whatever genre, pick a genre of music ever. You know what I mean?
And if you don't feel like sitting there and picking them, you can have a music service pick them for you. Just say, "Oh, I want this radio from Pandora."
Yeah, right. Or like based on things you've done in the past, how's this sound? Like Spotify does the daily, your daily mix, whatever.
Right.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Honestly, and it throws in new music sometimes, and I'll be like, that sounds really good.
Yeah, they know. Yeah. They know based on other people's. Yeah, it's all that crowdsourcing of information, which is scary and cool at the same time. But hopefully we can use those tools, right?
That's the idea, right?
You get good enough, you have your musical interests, maybe they show in your music and other people pick it up. And yeah, it's probably a lot less bad than we think it is.
Yeah.
I know I'm always thinking like this is just not anywhere close to good enough for anybody to listen to. Like
that's insane.
Because
think about all the shit that's out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like
true.
in the spectrum of good music to bad music, you know what I mean? Literally anything you do, you personally, as a person, just because I've known you for over a decade and I know what you're capable of, you're not going to be anywhere on like the lower end of that spectrum in any capacity. Like you could play a trumpet that's going to be better than probably 90% of the trumpet players on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Because I wouldn't even play the trumpet for you until it was at a certain
until you
point.
knew how to play it. Like but that's you though. But even if you just did it and just like, all right, guys, I'm going to go on YouTube and spend an hour and try and learn the trumpet. By the end of that, like you're playing a song. I know that because I just know what you're capable of. So don't expect, like, put yourself in a higher bracket. You know what I mean?
I'll try to do that in the future, but it goes right back to what you were saying. Like, the people that I listen to, because musically I'm a snob. It's like you're comparing yourself to like, be essentially like, oh, I'm going to learn to play the drums. I need to be as good as John Bonham, like immediately. Like,
right.
No,
it's
just not going to happen. Maybe ever is that going to ever happen for you. But like, there's a whole area of good in between, like,
right,
what you're low at, like what you would allow to be your worst, and him.
Yeah, I mean I've been playing music. I've been playing guitar for 20 years. I don't know how to play the guitar.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really feel that way.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I 100% feel that way.
Not that you don't know how to play the guitar, but like I feel that way about my guitar playing.
I get what you're trying to say, but it's true in both cases. Because I really don't know what I'm doing. But I've been doing it so long that like when people who really don't know how to play the guitar, see me play, they go, "Oh wow, he's pretty good," and I'm like, every guitar player I know in my life is better than me at playing the guitar. Like everyone I know.
You know that's not true.
It's kind of true.
It's not really true.
At least that's the way I feel.
I could, for the sake of holding their name in a positive light, I won't mention anyone, but I could jot off like 10 to 15 names right now of people that we know that you play guitar better than. I just wouldn't do that to them.
Right. But that's the way I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know.
I empathize with you. I have a very similar feeling. I work with a lot of people that do the electronic music, and they're always where it's like you'd think from being exposed to each other, saying the same things to each other all the time, that one of us would get it. It's like, no, man, you're really good. Like I feel like you're better than me. Nah, man, that's not true at all. Like, you're the one, dude. Your music's really dope. It's like, all right, all you guys are good. Like, stop. I think that's why M gets like fed up with it, because after a while she's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you're all smart people. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. What are you waiting for?
Why are you not picking up on any of this? Like, people react well to the music. Just do something with it. It's really hard to do, because then here's the other thing. Here's what I'm noticing lately. Now that I actually care about releasing it. That's a whole other thing that's like so much work just between social media now. Like, you need to be on your social media game. You need to know what you're doing. That's like a little more than half the battle of getting your music out there correctly is that tool, because everyone's using that tool. Like, I just learned about hashtags from my girlfriend recently.
You just learned about hashtags?
I knew they were a thing, but I didn't know like how critical they were to like what comes up in people's feeds and what people see.
Sure.
So, I had my Instagram for the longest time was my only social media, and I used it to argue politically with people and basically just vent off on poor human beings that had nothing to do with me. So I decided to stop that one day, and I essentially, I stripped it down, I deleted it, and I came back. Luckily, the same name was available, and now it's just my music. That's all I put up there. And I did a couple of posts, and, they got your normal stream of like likes, it's like, oh, this person that you've known for 10 years, like likes the thing you post. And it's like, that's not what you want, right? You want to get out to people. But then she jumped in and put hashtags on everything. 50 of them, each picture, hashtags. Within minutes, like, just organic likes coming in from random people I've never met before. And it's like, I didn't know that. Like, someone's got to help me with this. Like, I got to learn this too?
You have so much to learn.
I know. I'm not good at social media. I've been spending all my time in the dark making the songs. So
yeah. There's companies that this is what they do. They just do social media for people, and that's their entire job. That's their entire existence, is doing social media for people. We got versed in it. Well, I got versed in it just based off of working for a technological company that basically owns social media. Like, And with the band stuff, watching what younger bands were doing and how they were getting successful. But like honestly, at this point, like in the existence of the world, it's not that big of a deal. It's not as big of a deal as you think it is. Because like anything at this point can light on fire and take off. So whether you have 50 hashtags or not, if the person whose eyes see that, like, yeah, you might get more eyes on it and that makes other people look at it. But like, I never watch something just because other people like it. And I think that's a common misconception.
No, that's
like
true.
You don't watch a video because it has 1 million views.
No, but I do watch the things that come up in my feed.
Right.
And the things that come up in my feed because of the things that I've clicked on before.
Right.
So
and that's the algorithm. Right. But that's Instagram doing that for you.
Right.
So that's not even the hashtags.
No, I gotta crack the algorithm, Joe. I gotta figure out,
Right. You need to find out how to, when people click on, EDM or whatever, your picture will pop up. But it's not up to you. And and so like,
you're right, because if the content is fire,
that's it.
Everyone's going to click on it.
Yeah.
Whether it starts with 3 people you don't know clicking on it, or it's 3 people that's where it starts.
And where really things catch on fire, it's the same way they have since the beginning of time. It's word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So if I see a video that's like, this is sick, what am I going to do? I'm going to share it.
Yep. Exactly.
Right. I'm going to tag someone. Did you see this? And then they'll tag someone. Did you see this? That's where social media can take fire.
Yeah.
So it's 100% the content. Like, it's not the hashtags. Don't fall into like people will charge you. The companies, they'll pay them, $1,500 and we'll get you this many likes, and who cares?
Right.
It doesn't matter. How many times have you gone to like a cool thing on the internet and it was someone who had 300 friends or whatever?
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Because the likes really only get you advertising. Like, that's a money maker more than anything.
And that's it.
But if you really want to get your stuff out there, you're right. That doesn't.
Yeah. Work on getting your stuff out there.
You don't want
let it make its own money. Like, don't like the likes. Like, I can just create if I want money from advertisers, I can create a page that just has tits all over it.
Yep.
Today.
Yes.
One
of the easiest, most tried and tested ways to make money.
If I get 1 million likes, I can go to advertisers and be like, advertise on my page.
Yeah, because I have 1 million likes. Or you can buy. That's the thing. You want organic likes. You want people that actually like it. You want a bunch of click farm likes.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like the technology is so advanced, but it's still the same basic principle of word of mouth.
Yep.
And that's it.
It just makes it happen faster. It's just like a microwaved version of your typical advertising
what going
stream.
viral is. It's like something that would have taken 20 years to hear about, like an old story of like Led Zeppelin or something like that would happen. Everyone would know about it right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
So that's where, if you're worried about the numbers, sure, you can do 1 million things to inflate the numbers. You can literally buy them.
Yeah, you just pay money. It's really infuriating as a producer that's been working at it for many years is like when something that's like 8 years old gets a whole ton of likes, and then you're posting brand new stuff and it's not anywhere close, and you're like, what? And like, am I even going in the right direction with this? What am I even doing right now?
That's like one of my nightmares. Legit is someone will call, my phone will ring and say, is My Kingdom available for this crazy festival in Germany or whatever, just because it just took that long to get to them.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden there's this huge fan base that I just never knew about. Like, and I'm just like, what?
I gotta call the guys.
I gotta make a phone call.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually was having legitimate nightmares the week and a half before I played my show. I was having this recurring dream where I was on stage. It was like different reasons. I was never playing electronic music. Like, one time I was in Subject to Change. I was playing guitar. The other time I was doing vocals for a band. But in the dream, I'm playing like a weird venue where everyone's standing, and I start playing, and by the time I finish the song, everybody left. Like, nobody was feeling it at all, and they just walked to like another room, or they just like left the venue. And that nightmare continued all the way up until the show. It happened like 3 times, and I really don't normally have recurring dreams. Mm-hmm. But that one kept hitting me, and I told my girlfriend about it, and she was like, "You were honestly ridiculous. Like, style. Like, you were making it. Your brain is so creative that it's literally creating negative situations for you, in addition to all this music that you're making. Like, you should write a book or something, and like find a way to get these scenarios out of your head." But the show didn't go anything like that, so obviously unfounded. But it's like crazy, what your brain will do.
Speaking as your friend, like, you've done that a lot.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
A lot. Like, and every time you did, I'm like, why is his attitude like that? He's so good. Like, I've literally, like, you know what I mean? Like, just because I've never had talent. And so I envy people that have talent.
You have talent.
No.
Yes,
I have
do.
drive. I don't have talent.
You have talent.
It takes me longer to get good at things than someone who's naturally good at something.
I feel exactly the same thing, especially with this electronic music. I feel like this is taking me a really long time to get good at. I feel like I should be a lot further along. I have been doing it a long time. 7, 8 years. I won't give credence to the earlier years because there was never any like, you should get better at this. It was just like more like, oh, I'm gonna make a song. Look at me. I know how MIDI works.
Right.
So like in the time that I've been working hard at it, yeah, I feel like it's unsustainable at the curve that I'm improving on. Like I should have improved faster. I should already be here. Mm. So that's, I believe to a degree equates to drive. That's why you get good at things. I always thought you were a great guitar player. I haven't heard too much of your electronic or other musical things, but I feel like as a musician, you know what you're doing. Like it's either in the club or you're not. Super, super simple. There's people that aren't made to be musicians. It's blatantly apparent the first time they try to do anything that they shouldn't be. But, I don't feel like you're in that crew. I don't think a lot of people are in that light. I feel like the people that are in that light are because they're super talented at something else. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I could never be a musician, but I also can like read a 300-page book in 13 seconds.
Right. Yeah. It's funny the way you phrase that. It's like you're either in the club or you're not. And I feel like that's just something we always strive for. You always want to be in the club, but you never feel like you're in the club.
No.
You know what I mean?
Like even people that are 100% certainly in the club feel that way. That like, oh, I'm not in the club.
Isn't that weird? That's such a tribal thing that's like indated into all of us in some capacity or another.
It's that Neanderthal survival thing.
Yeah, because if you're by yourself, you die.
Right.
Like you're not going to survive by yourself. You want to be with people.
And not only do you want to just be with people, you want to be with the best group. You want to be part of it because you're always necessary.
Right. You never want to feel like you're in danger. Like, and also, you don't have to swim faster than the shark. You just have to swim faster than the person you're with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it's safe. There's safety in that. It sucks. It's weird. We're so weird.
Yeah, self-defeating because honestly, it's all energy that should be spent creating
100%
and not focus on this stuff. But it's good to talk about. It's good to know that other people feel that way because because people will put on such a facade, especially on social media and stuff like, oh, I'll bang one of these songs out every week. I'm the illest. Check me out. And it's like that guy goes through that struggle. There's no way he doesn't. There's no way that you get good at anything without trial. And that guy that did get to where he got to by not going through anything, I guarantee you, his music's probably garbage. It's probably not. It's probably nothing new to offer. It's really easy to be good at something and do it just like someone else and watch all the tutorials and EQ it the same way and use the same synths.
Yeah.
It's another thing to like start out completely on your own with a whole bunch of shit that you don't even know if it goes together, but you want to try it because you like it all. So you're just throwing this thing together. Like that takes work. You don't just get to do that well the first time. If you do, you'd already be on tour someplace. Like it's not that easy for everyone,
So I knew a guy. So this is going back years ago. This a buddy of mine, and this is at the time where I was like hardcore skating, BMXing, high school aged, and then all I cared about was just like hitting the fucking pavement at the time, right? So I don't know if you know about that. I was like really into inline skating and stuff like that because I was a hockey player. So I was like, I can't skateboard well, but I could skate.
Right.
And once I was like, oh, I could skate on top of things and slide down things. I was like, I can fucking do that.
Yeah.
So I used to roll with these BMXers, and this one dude who was a good friend of mine, this guy Ryan, was just one of those kids that was just good at everything he did. You know what I mean? Like he was the best guitar player of the group, best drummer of the group, played the piano. His brother was blind and played every instrument known to man. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Then when it came to like skateboarding, like best skateboarder, one day he came out skating with me, didn't know he ever skated, ever. Schooled me, made me look stupid.
Yeah.
Best BMXer, and the kid just got so bored with everything.
Yeah.
And everything he did, even if it was a new thing, he's a photographer now. Amazing. Like everything he's ever done, but he was just always so bored with it. I would push him like, let's start something. You're a really good guitar player. Let's play. He's like, I want to play drums now. It's like, yeah, but we got a drummer. It's like, well, and then you'd be better. You know what I mean? I was just so envious of that. It was weird. It was like, he was never happy, but he was always the best at everything. like clearly by a clear best.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. No, I have friends like that too. Benny was like that. Benny was good at everything. Benny would pick up a guitar and maybe his technical skill wasn't the same, but he just like had a knack. You know, there's just people that have a knack for thing, and you know, they, like he said, he's bored with everything. Like they have their own struggles and stuff that you wouldn't even, you know, you don't even weigh it because it just comes easily to you. You know, social interactions or like being able to keep numbers and schedules in your head and like actually function in this society as an adult. Like you really think about it, all those skills, like unless he's the best at it out of a bunch of people, what's it going to do for him in life? So of course, you know, you get bored with things. So it's easy to get envious of that stuff, but you got to just consider that like you were handed that in a different way too. Like you have things in your life that maybe came easy to you and that you were successful at that you don't really rate them super high because they're not like your dreams. You know, you'd love to be a famous musician. You'd love to be a skateboarder or an inline skater. But like, yeah, maybe he's like, man, I'd love to like go to a party and not have a difficult time interacting with people. You know what I mean?
That's kind of true.
There's everybody's got their plate. It's hard, and then again, comparison will kill you. But I empathize with that a great deal. I definitely felt that way looking at people in my life, better at hockey, better at
hockey especially.
Hockey, man, that I knew a kid that was better at both at playing out and playing goal than me, like just naturally.
Yeah.
And was dating the girl that I was into, and like literally I was like, oh my god, this guy is like, this is like, if this were a movie, this goes my way, but this is not a movie. This is real life. Yeah. Like this guy's gonna actually end up marrying the girl.
All right,
years later.
So there's that.
So at least it was that. You know, it's like, well, I went out in the first round of the playoffs, but they did end up winning the cup. So
yeah, you got beat by the champion.
Yeah,
so there's a certain comfort in that, I guess.
But yeah, it's easy to get caught up comparing, and like jealousy is totally natural. But yeah, you just got to try to remind yourself.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even the jealous thing. It was just that was talent to me. You know, so, and since I was never able to just pick up something and take off with it, that's why what's the word I'm looking for? Attribute that to me not having talent.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because he was able to just do it. Pick it up and do it. Whatever, regardless of what it was.
Everyone's talent comes out in a different way. You know what I mean? Some people, it's not instant. That I do understand. I would be very jealous of that too. Like people that just pick something up and they're good at that. You know who's like that? It was Joe Bad. I was when I grew up with Joe Bad. We were from the same town. I was super into screaming. He was too, but like he was younger, so he's not seriously into it. And then he just picked it up one day, and
he was so good.
He's good at it instantly. He's really good at it. I fully support him these days. But there was definitely like especially at that age, dude. There's like a twinge of jealousy to the situation. You're like, why should I? I've been trying. I've been screaming and practicing and making my throat sore, and I listen to all this different music, and I always have. And it's like this guy just picked up a mic, and his voice sounds gorgeous immediately, and it's. You're put here for different things, you know. All you can hope is that you're landed in your thing, that smoothly and that easily, you know. But you're not. It's not always how it goes.
Yeah, he was. We were in a band together when he was 16.
Yeah,
and he was awesome.
Yep.
And I think though he had an advantage he was hanging out with us. So he was hanging out with, think about the people he had in his life at that time.
The circle around him was
a bunch of audio engineers who technically analyze every fucking thing they do, you know, and Timmy Rapp.
Poor Tim.
I love Tim. But, you know, so he was just around that type of mentality all the time.
Yeah,
you know? I feel... like even playing music with him, he was always he would just pick up on things.
Because he was around it all the time.
Yeah. And he would just, I'm like, why don't we try it this way? He'd be like, okay. I'm like, yeah, like that. Like there was never a second go around. You know?
He's good at it. Just comes naturally. I feel like that's way too when I think about the situation at Five Towns that I was in, and you know, working as closely with John as I did.
Right.
Being in the studio, I learned so much from him, so much more from him than I actually did in any of the classes.
100%.
Just recorded with him the one time, really, doing the subject to change stuff and. Just watching like how he did things and how much time he spent on certain things. Like I got a really good feel for like, this is how good it really has to sound before we track it. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to mix the whole freaking thing, but you have to at least do your due diligence and manage your frequencies into the microphone.
Save your mixing time.
Right.
Make it sound good the first time.
Yeah, just that, and just hanging out with him and talking shop with him. I spoke to him recently when this whole isotope sale started happening. I hit him up, I'm like, should I be buying this? Is this like, this is worth purchasing? And he was like, yeah. But, just talking to him and trading ideas and stuff, like, I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I'm in this environment that I was in, because I easily could have been at law school, like my parents wanted, or, doing whatever educational thing I was about to do before I was like a senior year of high school. Just like, you know what? I'm done trying. I'm going to 5 towns. Like, this is what we're doing here.
That's exactly how I went to. I went to Suffolk for a year, and I was like, I need to be around people doing things.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
None of it mattered to me. School never mattered to me.
Right.
Certain things that I learned I found interesting, and those are the things I excelled at. I liked my science classes. I was good at math. Math always made sense. But, like, when I found music, when I started playing the guitar at, I think it was 14, I was like, this is it. Everyone's like, oh, it's just a fad. You're just, it's just something different. So you're really into it. But then another year went by, and then it wasn't just the guitar. Then it was music. Then I was like, how are they making this? I want to know how it goes from me sounding like an idiot with just one guitar to like these records that they sound so huge. And then 5 towns, it's like, yeah, it's, you do create your reality with your thoughts and your words. And, some people think that's like a really mystical, like, ooh, like way to look at things, but it's really not. You think about it, the things that are occupying your thoughts, it's just like a less physical stream of consciousness. You still manifest physical things based off those thoughts, and the more physical things you manifest towards what you actually want, just one day you end up with all the crap you wanted. Especially, if you really evaluate where you are in your life at any given time, and you think about what you were thinking about leading up to those things, you're like, yeah, this is exactly what should have happened.
Yeah. No, I'm with that 100%. Like, you just gotta, your thoughts guide you where you are, wherever you lean in the universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just if you like, I always lean towards audio, and I've left microphones basically for 5.5 years, doing what I was doing, training and stuff like that.
Right.
But like the minute that stopped, the first thing I wanted to do was put a microphone somewhere, and have sound come through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just wanted to do that and like create like something. So I get that completely.
Yeah.
It's. Your thoughts definitely drive where you go in the world.
Yeah. Going back to this swimming against the current analogy, it's like your thoughts are where your feet are kicking and your actions are your hands. So you wouldn't want to be kicking in a different direction than you're trying to swim with your hands. So, but if all you did was kick around with your feet, you would still eventually end up slightly in that direction. It's better to add the amplification of like action on top of the thoughts, and that's how you really solidify stuff. Yeah, it's one of those like stacked frequency things, like your thoughts are a really high frequency activity. So they don't really push very much, but you really can have a lot of thoughts really quickly, right? Like you can run through like 20 or 30 things in your head, and they're like high frequency, but like low impact on your physical environment. And then you get your actions. There's only so much action you can take in a day before you're physically exhausted,
Right.
But you sit down and take some action, and it really pushes the boat. It really gets things going, So they're two different tools that when they're working in unison, and isn't that what we're talking about today? Like not having the self-doubt, believing in all, like I've been taking action for 3 years now.
Just doing something.
Yeah, put some thought into it, put some thought behind it.
Yeah. I've been saying it a lot lately, but I saw this quote, because it's the internet, and just quotes everywhere, and you see everything. It was a Lincoln quote, and it was, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend 4 hours sharpening my axe, right? And that like stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, like preparation. I like the same thing John was telling us, like make it sound good before you have to mix it, so you don't have to spend all that time mixing it.
Right.
That's been getting taught. We've been learning that lesson our whole lives. Practice makes perfect. I don't know. Up until recently, I haven't really applied it. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like the way I could have. Where I see some people that have, and I'm starting to see what their results are now. Like a guy like Joe Bad.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He saw it. He applied himself. He's been practicing his entire life, and he's exactly where he wants to be. You know?
Yeah, you can't.
It seems easy now.
You can't let the plateaus get you, because that's a big thing in being creative. You put energy and effort, and you see an increase in a positive direction, and then you plateau, and you're putting this work in, but it's really not getting that much better. You just feel like you're just putting work in and staying on this plane. But another climb is coming. You just don't know when. It's going to come from, you have to walk the plateau before you're up to the next uphill. And those are the hardest things to get by, especially people that can be good at multiple things, like your friend who was getting bored with stuff. Probably hit plateaus, probably hit a level where he was like, yeah, I'm really good at this. I'm better than all my friends. So what's the next uphill is like, I should try to do this professionally. I should see if I'm better than like everyone in the state or everyone in the country, you know? That walking that plateau where you're just at the place you've been, no matter how much effort you put into, is really hard. That's where most people quit things, I feel like.
100%.
I've been at plateaus where I've thought about not doing electronic music anymore because I'm like, I'm not getting better. There's been no jump. And then one day a song happens and I'm like, it sounds significantly better than the last one. I don't know what just happened, but you finished walking the plateau. It's time to climb again. Yeah, climb those hills.
That's a good ending, I think.
Cool.
I think so.
So just quick shout out to a couple people I mentioned earlier in the show. Some great folks over at Dub Day NYC, putting on music for quite a long time now. You can find them at Dub Day NYC on Instagram. Check out the page. Look for some upcoming shows. Jump on them because that's where you're going to find some artists that do exactly what we're talking about here. Struggle every day with creativity. Shout out to the Dice Man at the Dice Man. Yeah, so Wade Diceman Appleton. You can find him on Instagram at the Diceman. That's THADICEMAN. He's the guy that puts on the Dub Day stuff. So if you're looking to get on something local, do some music making, hit him up. That's Wade. 2 quick plugs to my boys that I make music with at Bagger Vance. That's Vin Ledestro. Puts on some pretty good drum and bass. If you're into the D&B, hit him up. Follow him. It's a worthy follow. He actually posts some pretty funny content too. And at Cranko, at KRANKO. It's my boy Andy, also on his music game. Been doing some good sound design lately. Hit him up. That should do it for plugs. I don't know. I should probably get the visualizer guy from the Dub Day show because he was an awesome dude. Oh, I should know this because his name is in the news right now. But at Kawai Visuals, KAWAII. Music.
Good job, man.
Thanks, dude.
That was a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun too. I appreciate it.
Yeah.